to what degree is there corruption in Senegal and Africa, and how do we fix it?
So when you say to which degrees there is corruption, I will respond to you the same I respond to people. I say, yeah, we have corruption, and it's almost as bad as in Chicago, right? So now, what I want people to understand when it comes to corruption, it's because we are misguided with corruption. We think corruption is the root cause of problems, when corruption is simply a symptom of a deeper root problem. In this case, if you make the laws so senseless, meaning, let me give you an example of senseless laws. Every time I have to import something in my country, I have a business. We're making lip balms in this case and others, skincare products. Some ingredients I'm able to find in the country at the standard that I need in order to remain competitive. Because, for example, our products are sold at Whole Foods Market. You can understand it's a pretty sophisticated and really, they don't just put anybody on the shelves. But the thing is, it means that on the other end, my input has to be right. So out of those, we have 7 items that need to come from abroad to go into the making of this product. Some packaging and some raw material. But guess what, Lex? For 5 of them, I am paying a 40% tariff. And for the other 2, almost 70% tariff. That I call senseless laws. These tariffs are senseless.
Yeah, corruption is just a symptom. They reveal that something was broken about the laws.
Exactly.
And the laws are, so taxation, this kind of restricting laws, like laws that slow down the entrepreneurial momentum.
They do. Because in this case, when my product comes, what do people have to do? Because every time, if you add 40%, you're basically on the other end. So every time you add, if let's say my product normally cost $1, and with your 40%, by the time I'm done, now it's costing me $140. By the time it arrives in my warehouse, in my manufacturing facility, it's now at $140 because of a tariff I left behind. That 40% you added to it, do you know how much it's going to add to my final cost? That once the product is finished, I have to sell it to the customer. I have to sell it for $1.60 more because of that 40 cents extra you took from me. In order for me at the end of the day to have some type of profits, because profits at the end of the day is the blood of a business. There too, people are misguided. They say, oh, you dirty, greedy business people, and it's all about profit, 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 profit. I belong to this organization called, I'm a board member on the Conscious Capitalism. It is the largest organization of purpose-driven businesses and entrepreneurs. The type of people I told you about, we start our businesses because we see something that needs to be taken care of in society. Whole Foods Market is one of them. The Container Store, all of these companies that are beloved in the US that you can hear of. We believe that the end goal of business is purpose. But in order to do purpose, you have to have profits to stay alive. And the best way for people to think of profits so that they're not all twisted about it. Lex, if I asked you, what's your goal in the world? You're probably going to tell me your dream. You're going to talk to me about what you're doing right now and how you want to be uniting. You want a more harmonious world. You want human flourishing. That's what you're working towards. That's what you say to me. You're not going to say, well, my biggest goal in the world is to produce as many red blood cells as I can. Mm-hmm. Except you need to produce those. Otherwise, no Lex. And if no Lex, no one working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's also people need to stop with this whole profit, Do we have some psychopaths among us? Yeah, 1% of us in this world are psychopaths. In every field, anywhere you look. And surely you find that in the entrepreneur's world as well. Yeah, so we have 1% of us who are psychopaths for sure. But do they define the rest of us? Absolutely not, and thankfully not. So let's just be clear on that. So here, you charge me 40% tariff, which is outrageous. then you're forcing me to sell it for $1.60 more than my competitor who does not have to go through that nonsense because she's an American woman who is operating in America and she doesn't have that nonsense put on her. So now I'm on this market competing against this woman eye to eye. So if we're selling the same value product, mine costs $1.60 more simply because of some stupid rules from back home, then guess who is going to stay in business and who doesn't? See, they want to talk about equality. That's the type of equality I want to see. The playing field has to be leveled. I told you, English is my fourth language. So,
well, it's two people talking. Between us, maybe we'll have this English thing figured out.
We'll have it figured out.
So the idea of capitalism, the idea of conscious capitalism, is the thing that in large part enables this level playing field.
That's what we want. So what you're trying to say? So here, so when I talked about senseless laws, that's an example. So when you make the tariffs so high that you're going to render me, non-competitive, then that's where, for people who might make sense, when the product arrives at port, they say, "Hey, I give you this. What I give you, maybe it's 10% of the price or 5%. It's surely not 40%, but you are happy with it. You're the government official. That's what we call a bribe. And me, I'm like, hey, I saved myself money. And also I saved myself time. But you see, if the laws where you pay 5% or even the 10% that I just left behind or nothing, you come, you pay it, you move on. Because who has a business of fooling around and staying behind? And no, you do that when it's actually makes sense to do that. So I'm not sitting here telling people I engage in unlawful practices. In my case, because I'm around saying the things I'm saying right now, so I'm a target, you have to do things cleanly. And I believe in doing things that way. So what I had to do was go to the Ask Again Mayor. We have a problem. Mayor is, whenever he sees me, he's like, now what? So I'm like, we've got a problem.
Your best friends now.
So I say, now it's the customs. And he's like, what do you want me to do? I said, do you know anybody at customs? I need a higher up at customs because I got to explain to them what's going on here. They all know, of course, but I think they're not always maybe understanding, or maybe they understand. And in this case, he understood. So we went. And he's like, yeah, I know this is not very, this. And I said, what do we do now? And I saw him going through binders and binders in his office because he's going to try to go and look where in the law can we find something that can help me escape these rules. And you know the best he found, Lex, was? Oh, well, here, see, this one. If you've been in business for 2 years, then we can allow you, there's a special term for it, which French is technical. We can allow you to bring your raw material, but you have to tell us exactly how much you're bringing, and it has to match your formulation because, they don't want you to bring in more that we need and maybe sell some of that to the rest of the market, and they didn't make their money on it. So there it means I have to give them my recipe. Imagine Coca-Cola being asked to give their secret sauce to government officials in a country that you can't even know what might happen. Let alone, even in business, you don't do that. I mean, trade secrets are trade secrets. But here, you're asked to be putting it in front of some people you don't know where it's going to go after that. Because there they get to see, okay, her recipe calls for X amount of candela wax, X amount of coconut oil. Okay, and on top of that, we have to think about how much spoilage might there be or not, because again, we don't want her to buffer it over there. So you have to get naked in front of them in terms of your recipe, which might end up only God knows where tomorrow. Maybe competition, or maybe even them. They start a business and they compete with you, because we've seen that. So you have to do that, and then each time fill out the paperwork, get the approval, then it can come in. So when it can come in, you don't have to pay that tax. Oh, and by the way, you have 1 year to make this product and get it out. And all of it needs to be back out, because if any of it stays here, you're going to pay the taxes that we held up.
So you're basically forced by these senseless laws,
yes,
to be dishonest if
that's
you
where
want
corruption,
to succeed.
All of this is so cumbersome because it means more paperwork everywhere, maybe having to disclose your things. So me, in my case, what I did is, this person said, okay, we're going to see how we can work with you. But for the first 2 years, we were more or less in the gray area.
Yeah. So,
So what
but
does it?
even gray area is good.
Yeah, but let's. What does it mean in a situation like that?
Yeah.
Whenever they want to mess with you,
Yeah.
it means they can come and they will look and they will find something. So it means that every day I'm trying to do business, I'm running the risk of being harassed and or maybe even put in jail, depending on what it is.
I mean, you're an incredible person because it seems like there's two ways to change this: uh, become president or gain power in the country, and to try to change the laws, which seems really difficult to do. And the other way is fight through the laws and create the business anyway, build the business community, and through that method, create a huge amount of pressure to
That's
change the
you're
laws.
totally getting it by with your last part. Because see, this is the other thing. And this is where I get so upset sometimes with my fellow Africans because they get so disgusted by what they're seeing, right? And they think the answer is to go for politics. Let's go be president. Let's go be this. Let's go be that. And we're going to change everything. I see that in the US too. People thinking that presidents have all of this power. Do you know who has the least power in government? The president.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't get that. Your best bet, if you insist on going into politics, stick to the local level. That's where all the skeletons are buried and hidden, and that's where you can make the most impact. Local level. I know it's not shiny. I know it's not exciting, but that's where it's at. So if you must go into politics, but there's another way. So in my case, what I do is two things. I preach and I practice. I preach when I'm here talking to you about this, I'm preaching. I am sharing with people that is which I found. And by the way, the answer was there. I was doing these two businesses, realizing the difference in treatment of the doing business environment of the US compared to the doing business environment of Senegal. And at first I was like, of course, us, everything is messed up. It's because we're a poor country. But when I started to put two and two together, I'm like, you're poor because you have no money, at least not enough money to take care of your basic needs. You have no money because you have no source of income. Where does a source of income come from for most of us? It comes from a job, doesn't it? And then some people, sometimes at my UC Berkeley class, they say, oh no, it comes from government too. I'm like, I would like to think that even if you work for government, you're going to be paid something, right? And they're like, yeah. And then even before I can say something, they're like, oh, yeah, because that money we used to pay our public officials comes from taxes, employers, employees, we go back to the private sector for most of it, from where this whole thing is created. So it's clear. You're poor because you have no money because no source of income. Source of income for most of us is a job. We're talking about, so where do jobs come from? The private sector, primarily small and medium-sized enterprises. Then don't you think that we should make it easy, that we should have friendly doing business environment?
And also a lot of it comes not just from the small and medium sized businesses, but I think a lot of the value is created from new ones being launched.
Yes.
Right? It's not just like saving somehow through regulation the ones that are already there.
No.
It's like letting the market, letting the new better ideas flourish.
Yes. It's about what I mean by doing business environment is all the things that you and I talked about earlier. Even the access of electricity is part of a doing business. But doing business, so basically when I discovered all of that, when I put all of those dots together, then I'm like, well, I guess the business, and it makes sense, Lex. If you want to grow tomatoes, you're going to have two things. One is a good seed, right, that has good attributes. And then you're going to have a good environment for it. Is the soil the right one? What's your pH level? All of those good nutrients that you're going to put in it? Is it in a place that has tons of sun? How much sun exposure or not? The climate in general, is it going to be cold? Not. You can't have some beautiful tomatoes in the middle of Siberia, last time I checked. So same thing here. Mohamed Yunus, the Nobel laureate for peace, said, poor people are bonsai people. They're the same people. If you put them in the normal, natural, a friendly habitat where they can thrive, they become the tallest tree in the forest. Poor people are bonsai people. So you see that tiny pot you put around the bonsai tree? That's the tiny pot that created by giving me such a hostile business environment that basically were put together by the set of laws that you have put that basically I have to jump through as a business person practicing business in my country. If you turn that environment into a friendly environment where I am not married to my employees, I have flexibility of the labor laws are simple, straightforward, clean, where the tax code is very simple. It's not worth truckloads of laws like in my country. It's so complicated. You have to hire a CPA, which costs more money, and even them tell them, "Girl, we're gonna make some mistakes." They don't talk. They don't talk to me like that. It's They don't tell me, "Girl." They shouldn't. They better not. But they say whatever they say. They say,
Scared. I'm scared.
you know. They're like, but bottom line is, we're gonna make mistakes. This thing is so complicated, we're gonna make mistakes. So, which means my ass is on the line.
Yes.
So anyway, so if the tax code was so simple, straightforward, like it is maybe in Texas, where up till a threshold, you owe me nothing, go online, 5 minutes, fill out your taxes, you're compliant, keep building your business because that's what we need from you. If you made it so easy and straightforward, then you know what? That's when you get all of these people, Lex, that you're talking about, saying, you know what? My name is Aminata, and I live in the middle of nowhere, Senegal. But you know what? I've got this great idea, which is for this really nice hot sauce that I know the Americans are going to love. I'm hearing that hot sauce is a big thing. Let me bring it to them. But everything is there for you to jump into the ring of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You don't have to know someone like Magatte. You don't have to even have the ability to sell yourself, maybe like I can sometimes. You are someone with a great idea. You're willing to work hard for it and pour everything you got into it. Guess what? It's there. You can get into the race.
You can be a dreamer, and you can be a dreamer in a rural little village, and then that has ripple effects throughout the entire country. Young kids growing up, I want to be the next X,
Yes.
whatever. And it doesn't have to be, the next Steve Jobs. That seems really far away.
At all levels. It's at all levels. You create local heroes because representation matters.
Yes.
Right? So, and we are so badly in need of that. And so that's what all the things that have been stolen from us as long as things remain the same. So, Lex, once I found out that basically at the end of the day, the answer is economic freedom, and that when it comes to that, the economic indexes that measure that, whether it's the Doing Business Index ranking of the World Bank or the Fraser Economic Freedom Index of the Heritage Foundation, when you look at all of those indexes and others, what do they have in common? One after another, they show you that it is harder to do business in almost anywhere in sub-Saharan Africa than it is, per se, anywhere in Scandinavia. So it is telling you that Scandinavian nations, that socialist Americans tend to love so much and take as an example, although there too, they're showing you that they don't understand what's going on really in Scandinavia, that Scandinavia is more capitalist. Scandinavian nations are more capitalist than almost any sub-Saharan African nations.
Ultimately, the political systems actually don't even matter nearly as much as the private sector being able to operate the machinery of capitalism.
There you go. There you go. There you go. And it's almost like I said, it's almost like its own little widget within it. You can have whatever type of society you want to practice, you want to exercise at whatever level you want to. But if you're serious about becoming a middle to high income nation, there is no other pathway that we know of at this point. And you know what made me super excited about that, beyond having finally found my answer? I have to tell you, when I found that answer, I literally fell to my knees. It was the type of feeling that, if something is not well with you, whether it's physical or mental, something is not well, you're not well. And you go around and you go to the so-called specialists, some of them, but you're going around for years, trying to get help for your ailment. And here they don't know. Here they tell you things that you can't tell why, but you just know it's not true. They're this, they're that. And it's going on for years after year after year. And finally, you meet this one person. And boom, it's there. Not only the liberation, but also this whole new world that comes with it. You know, I'm still ill, but guess what? There's a path forward. We know that. I'm going to have a lot of work to do, but there's hope.
Yeah.
Right?
And you're the beacon of hope, actually, for a lot of people in that part of the world. And those beacons are actually really necessary. So not only is there hope, but you can become, I mean, the beacon for your people, your home, this power that you see, that you feel all around, to become to escape the feeling of being trapped.